Hello, slot car enthusiast. And this time we're going to have a look at the Carrera R8 LMS Racing Police. This one has just been released a couple of weeks ago, and I just got it. And this was originally released with the flashing lights back in 2014 with the silver Carrera safety car. That model is kind of difficult to find, at least in North America. So I'm very happy that we have finally a newer release that we can just buy at our local hobby store. So this is pretty interesting how they managed to give us a flashing lights still with an interior, because normally when you get flashing lights on the smaller scales like 132 scale, they will just black out the window so you don't see that there is actually no interior at all. So this car is actually pretty nice. Let me just focus again on it. What is nice about it is that all the paint is gloss finish, and it's just a personal taste of mine that the gloss finish will give you better scratch resistance, because all the matte finishes are very prone to scratches very easily. So I really like this model, and actually it's been released quite a few times already. Actually, if we consider without the flashing lights, it's been released actually 9 times, and the first one in this scale was back in 2012 with the famous Bilstein livery, which was yellow and light blue. However, I was just looking online and found out that it was also released in 132 scale, and actually in 132 scale it was released back in 2010, and they stopped making it in 2012. So it's like they first released it in 132 scale, and then they moved on to the larger scale, and this one sticked around for quite some time, because nowadays in the 132 scale you will get like the newer model. To me, I like the original shape of the Audi R8. This is what I saw from the video games back in the time, so it is pretty nice. So this one has, of course, the Sidewinder with the removable magnets, although these are, as you might be aware of, very difficult to remove, because you actually have to disassemble the whole engine compartment in order to do so. But other than that, I mean, they're very nice. I'm gonna just put it on the track, and you can see how it looks with both the blue flashing lights and the front lights. One thing that is very interesting is that for whatever reason, if you look at all of the releases without the flashing lights, the headlights are actually completely black. But in both of the releases with the flashing lights, the headlamps are actually silver. Don't know why, but I actually quite like this look. It looks more realistic, at least to my eye. So when you actually put it on the track, you can have it with both of them on. You can turn off the front headlights and just have the top. You can turn everything off, or if you just want to race around without pursuing anybody on the track, you can simply have your front headlights as a regular slot car. One thing that I'm not very fond of is that recently Carrera started to stamp their own logo, which, I mean, I like the logo, but I would just prefer if they had like Pirelli or Michelin, or like more realistic look. It will give them a more realistic look, at least to my eye. I've noticed that recently they started putting the Hankook livery on the tires, because the new Mercedes AMG C63, nowadays they have it as well. So I'm just hoping that they will do the same thing with Michelin and Pirelli. One thing though, just you have to be careful with your tires. Just try to keep them away from a lot of moisture, and particularly if you live in a place where it has a lot of humidity, they might get kind of smooshy, and they won't work anymore. So if that ever happens to you, I just recommend getting some pole gauge tires. At least in my experience, they will be more resilient to attracting the moisture. Um, so yeah, that's it. It's a very nice livery, of course, very flashy with the yellow. I used to have a couple of these without the flashing lights, and this one really caught my eye because of this. I think there are not many models in 124 scale with these features, so I was very excited about it. Of course, all the Carrera models, they will have brass bushings, so they actually roll very nicely. And if you can wait for a second, we can actually disassemble it to have a look. So I already removed half the screws, so this should take just a few seconds, because I mean, I always want to show how it looks like from inside, because sometimes you don't know, like they may change something. Actually, I was looking on some older releases which I got, and they actually had a different way of, you could actually remove the magnets without disassemble the car, and they had some sort of kind of suspension on the front which they removed nowadays. So it is very interesting to me to disassemble every new model and see if there's any changes. So actually this looks pretty standard. This is pretty much like the newer kind of setup, but of course, because this is an older mold, which again, it's been around since 2012, they still have the older type of LEDs. But I actually like them a lot because they will kind of fit inside the lamp, and they will give them a more realistic look. But I mean, when you disassemble it, it looks kind of weird because nowadays they have very tiny LEDs. Other than that, I mean, the only difference I can see is the new, I mean, the cables that connect to the flashing lights. And really that's it. I mean, I don't see much difference. On these ones, you can actually disassemble these pieces and flip them around so you can have more ground clearance. That is supposed to help you if you have like a high banked curve and it is just going out of the curve because there is not enough clearance. You can actually increase the clearance a little bit. I don't like it a lot because it will give you very weird stance to the vehicle, and as it sits right now, I like it enough. So now I'm just gonna put it on the table. I'm gonna turn everything on, and if you give me a second, I'm just gonna turn off the lights so you can see how it looks like at night. So pretty interesting. I'm gonna turn off the other light. And you can see that most of the times you get some light bleed from the wheels. I really like to disassemble these things, try to use some a tape or something to avoid this. But I mean, other than that, the flashing lights are incredible, at least in my opinion, and it's completely worth it. And again, if you are not familiar with Carrera slot cars, whenever you stop accelerating, they will actually have a braking function. So, for example, and then I release, you have a brake. And even if I have the lights turned on, you will see how they light up brighter whenever I release the accelerator, as you can see now. And same functionality even if the flashing lights are turned on. So I hope you like this video. Let me know if you have any questions about these liveries. Currently there is just a couple of them available for sale, which is this one and the one with the bull on the sides. Other than that, you're pretty much gonna have to go to eBay or something to actually find some of the older releases. One thing to notice, I mean, this is if you just in case if you're not familiar, all the Carrera slot cars, they will come with a instruction manual, and they come with the replacement mirrors and other pieces that they may simply wear out with the time. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.